I'm confident in. But as far as confidence in my talent, that kind of took a while. Although I've been a member of the Washington National Opera Orchestra for 28 years now, getting to that level took years of building block experiences before I won that audition. So I had auditions, and I had won auditions with several symphony orchestras in America and with a chamber orchestra in Munich, Germany, but I had also lost more than 20 auditions. So confidence in my talent took quite a while.
And you were talking about getting rejected from so many companies. What motivated you? What kept you going when you felt they were most discouraged?
All right. Well, first of all, I have my faith to lean on, and that is more than helpful. But in the last 20 years, when I was, still just taking some auditions, although I had this job, but just taking auditions for different things, I have really been fortunate to have a wonderful and supportive husband who basically will not let me stay discouraged for long. He's so wonderful about that. But musically, if I feel discouraged, it probably doesn't surprise you that I listen to music to lift me up.
Right.
And my one go-to to listen to is Verdi's Requiem with a Leontyne Price. And I have to have it at a high decibel, and I just have to let it penetrate into my soul. And I'm just kind of in my own fantasy world of music and faith, and that just seems to bring me back to a sense of gratitude somehow.
Yes.
But then on the other hand, though, on the other end of the spectrum, I also love to listen to Prince's Purple Rain. There's something about the sadness and the conflict that I hear in that piece. Believe it or not, it's so beautiful to me. It lifts me up.
Yes, I feel like
go ahead.
I feel like Purple Rain has so many like hidden gems in it, like even with the production and the lyrics and all kind of things like that. It has so many hidden gems.
Absolutely, and his genius.
Yes, yes.
Absolutely. But also, just even coming to work and just seeing my colleagues and just hearing how we work as a team and we bring our individual parts together as one, and we're not just 60 plus people playing as soloists, but we're playing as one. And in general, we're just kind of basically a congenial group, and we share in each other's lives, not just in the music. We mourn each other's losses and celebrate births, and we have incredible parties. I mean, my orchestra can cook. That's good. So we have just incredible pedagogues and entrepreneurs, and you name it. There's just so many different gifts within the orchestra, so that's uplifting too.
That's amazing. And you're talking about Leontyne Price and Verdi's Requiem. I'm glad I'm not the only person that loves a requiem. First off, I love a requiem.
Oh gosh. Absolutely. That one, Mozart's, oh my gosh, I lose it.
Yes. Yeah, I love a requiem. We can talk about that all day. But so Leontyne Price, like, how did you get introduced to that beautiful voice?
I know. Well, the LPs that my dad played as I was growing up, I would hear her. I didn't hear a whole opera as a child because he had the highlights. He always had LP highlights, but just hearing her voice and just to me it was just sultry and just pure and I just felt something from her. And just her diction, and I didn't always understand the language. I mean, I still don't always understand the language, but she draws you in.
Right.
Just her gift is remarkable.
And then you actually had a chance to hear her and see her. Like, what was that like?
Well, we had an opera awards program, and we were actually on the stage, so we were above ground, not in the pit. And she was one of the recipients, and when she came to the stage to retrieve her award, she of course spoke so eloquently, and just seeing her was wonderful for me, and just to know that I was an arm length away from her.
Yeah.
But then just out of nowhere, and she just started singing America the Beautiful a cappella. And we all just lost it. It was just an incredible experience, and I will always remember and treasure.
Oh my gosh, I love when people tell me about meeting Leontyne. Like even my voice teacher from college, like I feel like every voice
Yeah.
teacher I've ever had, yeah, I saw Leontyne Price before, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, why
No,
was I born so late?
oh my gosh, I know. I know you would love to just speak with
Oh,
her, let alone hear her, but just
yes,
speak with her, wouldn't you?
yes, I would. I would so much love to, and we're both from Mississippi, so it's just like that
Yes.
connection there. Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh. And there, I mean, we were driving back from New Orleans, and we went to Mississippi, and we saw Leontyne Price Boulevard
Oh wow,
in Mississippi.
that's so cool.
And it was so wonderful. I have a beautiful picture of it. I made my husband just pull over.
Right, but you have to stop.
Absolutely.
Yes, I would do that same thing. Okay, yes.
Yes, yes,
So,
yes.
what makes performing in the pit different from for opera, different from performing with symphonies?
So I can say now that I've done both about the same amount of time now, symphony orchestras. In a pit, I think you just have to find your own way of not feeling invisible.
Mm.
And that was my biggest challenge because I had been in symphony orchestras and been on the stage for like 20 years before I joined the Kennedy Center Opera House Orchestra. So I was accustomed to the stage and that energy that one gets from the audience, you know? And I was accustomed, of course, to the repertoire of a symphonic orchestra. So another adjustment for me, though, too, was playing in the dark for the most part. I mean, I know we have stand lights, but we're basically in the dark, and my eyes changed dramatically. I mean, just drastically. I mean, I know it's because of age as well, but just I think it was accelerated
Yeah.
by having to play in the dark. And as for the difference, though, of playing in opera as opposed to playing in a symphony orchestra, I think in opera, you know, that there's more ebb and flow and more
Yeah.
give and take, more rubato, more room for expression in a way. In an opera, and so you're not only at the mercy of the conductor, but you're at the mercy of the stage, of the singers. And you have to listen to the singers for yourself as well as follow the conductor. And hopefully they're all on the same accord.
Right.
But we have to adapt to many different conductors, but symphony orchestras do as well, but with adapt to different styles and cultures and accents, and as symphony orchestras do as well, but we get a little more time with them. So a symphony conductor may be there for a week, but we have at least 3 weeks with the conductor. We have a week of time with the orchestra, and then we add the vocalists and the soloists, and then we put it all together to have the run. So we have sometimes 3 to 4 weeks
Oh wow.
with a conductor, right? So our orchestra is very accommodating, and I think we're quite versatile.
Oh, that sounds really interesting. I never thought about it that way, but that sounds cool. So it gives you a little more time to get acquainted with the music and the style and things like that.
Absolutely.
So tell us about playing Handel's Alcina. I'm singing an aria from that opera, and it's such an interesting story that goes with that opera.
That is great. I'd love to hear you. That was definitely a different opera. I mean, it's we had an English female conductor. That was her specialty, and she, of course, not only conducted, but she played the harpsichord. So we haven't played too many Handel operas. I mean, we did Simile. I remember, like, a long time ago. But so your vibrato is different. It's not a Wagnerian vibrato, and the ornaments and embellishments. I mean, she was she really stayed on us about making those the way she wanted them to be,
Yeah.
as accurate as she thought they needed to be. The ironic part about that particular opera is there is a violinist on stage who just plays for maybe 3 minutes or so, and then they're off. And our orchestra has a system with the violins. Anybody, when that occurs, which is rare, we have a system of rotation. So it just happened to be my turn to be the one on stage. And I turned it down because I wanted to play the entire opera. The violinist on stage would play their part, and then they go home or do whatever. But I wanted to play the entire opera because I really wanted to play that opera. And the other reason was because I thought that the violinists would have to be in period clothing for obvious reasons, and I just really did not want to wear that kind of a wig on my head.
Yeah.
Yes. I didn't want to do that. So it went to the next person in our orchestra, and the woman that did it did a very good job.
Yes, I definitely understand that. I know Russell Thomas, who did Othello at Washington National Opera, says he doesn't wear wigs.
Oh, really?
Yes, and I was like, that's such a strong stance, and I agree because people don't care about your hair as much as you care about your hair. So.
Well, it's just that I have to go home afterwards.
Yeah.
After that wig has given me helmet hair or whatever it does.
Right. Yeah, definitely
it's
understand.
So trivial, probably, but it's so minor. But it's just who I am.
And I love that you stand strong in your boundaries. So, do you form a personal connection with the music, even as a violinist in the orchestra? And what does that feel like?
Wow. As I repeatedly perform a particular opera and then go see it live, my personal connection deepens, obviously, with it. So, of course, we're always connecting with the music by, of course, practicing our part at home in preparation for rehearsals with the orchestra. And then after rehearsal, you go home and you tweak what did or what did not work for you, and hopefully return, with it more polished. But then to read the libretto and then to go to see an opera for myself really deepens my connections. And I have traveled to the Santa Fe Opera a couple times, and I've gone to the Metropolitan Opera many times to see the live opera. And to see the stage sometimes from me, Renee, is really overwhelming. Because I am just moved to tears sometimes because I know every note of the opera, but I'm finally seeing what's going on the stage.
Oh, wow.
I'm seeing what musical passage is complementing or accompanying the story, the soloist or whatever. And like to see La Bohème or Turandot or Turandot, however people say it two different ways. It's my favorite opera. Just to see that, I just kind of smile inside because I know this. I know I played those notes, but this is what's going on while I'm playing those notes.
Yes.
Right. So when I go to live opera, personally, just adjusting to the surtitles, for me, especially in the Met in Santa Fe, the surtitles, are on the backs of the seat in front of you. But otherwise, in a lot of opera houses, the surtitles are projected above the stage. So I don't know which one I prefer. I don't know if I prefer the eye levels of the ones on the seat or the one above, but in any event, I just feel like my eyes separate themselves.
Yeah, you have to look at both.
Yeah. So I just really try to know the story and the libretto as best I can, so I'm not dependent on them.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of a distraction. But I just so admire opera stars, all of you, for your vocal expertise and just different languages. I mean, I can speak a bit of German, but I can speak English only, okay?
Yeah.
So different languages and your diction and the acting, it's so amazing to me. And I kind of liken it to hockey. No, that's kind of odd, but you think of, they learn the art of the game, of course, the rules, the strategies, or whatever, but then they also have to be expert ice skaters.
Yeah, true.
So it's like I can only play the violin. So what you do is remarkable to me, to learn different languages and act and just your own expertise. I love it.
Thank you. I love how much research and work you put into the craft, because we all have to do it, and it's so encouraging to hear that. Everybody is doing the same work to just know what the opera is about and have the same, feeling, and seeing it is such a special experience. Oh, that's amazing. I love how you were talking about like the differences, like you got to find a way to not feel invisible. And I think that can really be a lesson for life, to like think about the ways. I mean, it's a big world, there's a lot of people, but you have to really do the work to find the way to not feel invisible, because what you're doing is essential to, to the world and to what you're put on this place to be.
Absolutely.
I love that so much. So, opera. You said you were introduced to the art form as a younger child. Was there like a first opera that you heard that you like just fell in love with?
Yeah, yeah. So when my dad was playing all these LPs, he actually didn't have a full opera, but he had lots of highlights.
Mm-hmm.
So once I was kind of in college, is when I was really exposed to like a whole opera. And I would hear parts, and I was like, "Oh, I know that," but I would only know certain arias or whatever. I didn't know the entire opera. But for me, I played a little bit of opera in college. But when they started coming out in movies, like I was at the Aspen Music Festival one summer, and the Magic Flute came out on a movie screen, and that was fascinating to me. I mean, I could see the surtitles and the story and the soloists, and we didn't really see the orchestra, but of course you could hear it. But for me, what really happened was when I lived in Munich, Germany, and I went to hear Don Giovanni.
Oh.
And I was sold. I was sold. It was so beautiful. And it was a huge movie theater screen. The music was impeccable. The scenery, I mean, it was live scenery. It wasn't staged, it was live scenery. And I remember I had to go to a party of colleagues after that. I was in the Munich Chamber Orchestra. And I didn't make it. I didn't make it to the party. I loved the opera, and I just had to go home and process what I had just seen.
Yes.
So that was my introduction.
That's amazing.
And then to see it on stage, that's the ultimate.
Right, and then I feel like Don Giovanni is such an interactive opera to like experience because it's just so much going on. But yeah, it's like so many parts and pieces of the puzzle, and I think that's like a beautiful one to love. The Zauber flute is also a good one. It's funny and it's comedic, and it has so many like monumental arias in there.
Right.
So, being a woman in your position can be kind of a challenge. How do you maintain your strong sense of self?
Well, first of all, being a woman in orchestra many decades ago was an anomaly, right? Mm-hmm. But now, thank goodness, there's scores of women in orchestras. Yay! Yes. And as for being a Black woman in an orchestra, I wish there were so many more, Renee. Mm-hmm. But being the only one or being one of a few it's all I've ever known.
Right.
I'm not saying it's right, but it's just all I've ever known. So I personally don't really feel any differently being the only Black woman in an orchestra than I do being the only Black woman in any setting.
Yeah.
You know, I know who I am. I'm proud of who I am. I definitely know all my insecurities all too well. And I just feel like I'm as in touch with my gifts as I am my flaws and my potential, and I just know I can always do better. So I always try to work hard, and I'm really not happy when I let my guard down and let something distract me. And little things like getting to work and leaving work, and my husband would just send me off so joyfully, and I want to get to work, and I adorned myself. I learned my part, and I'm so ready to go perform, and then I just had dreadful traffic.
Oh, yeah.
And I get to work in the foulest mood, and it's like I try to be there a half hour ahead of time. That just, if it's any later than that, I am not settled. Yeah. I have to be there in 30 minutes, if not more, beforehand. And I will just go in the restroom in a stall and take over. No one gets in. I have to decompress.
Right.
And just because I owe that to my colleagues, you know, I can't let what happened to me in traffic alter the way I'm about to play.
Right.
It's really, really, really difficult. So I appreciate the job, and of course now we appreciate everything now more so than we ever thought we did, right?
Right.
Because of this pandemic and the things that you do at work, like whining or complaining or judging or whatever, you know, you just will know that's just, I don't think I'm going to do that anymore. No. I'm going to continue to do what I usually do, which is give compliments. I'm always willing to learn from others, and I have no problem asking for help. but I'm really going to tone down the whining and the like too.
Yes, I feel like I miss even singing in choirs, which is, I love choirs.
Magic for you, of course.
Yeah. So it's just the little things that you just really miss a lot. And I just love how you talk about the confidence in yourself, the strong sense of self. I love how you are so in tune with what is happening in your body and what you're feeling, and how that. And I feel like as a musician, that's something that has to happen. You have to be in tune with what you're feeling because that impacts what you're giving.
Absolutely.
So I just love how you explain that so beautifully.
Thank you. Well, I love how you've had other guests talking about meditation and the like, because it's a whole package.
Yeah.
It's not just your talent. It's not just the music and the violin and singing and the like, but you've got to work from within.
Exactly. So, how do you work with your community now in this age of COVID to like usher in the new generation of classical artists?
Right. Well, first of all, I am on Zoom overload.
Right.
Just unbelievable. I've never used my computer or my phone so much. But well, I love to play in churches, and ironically, just 2 weeks ago, I went to my church to perform to an empty church.
Oh yeah.
They recorded me and the pianist, and then it aired, a couple of days later online. But it was so eerie to go into an empty church and to have technicians all masked.
Right.
And I had to keep my mask on until they were ready to record.
Right.
So that was really, really eerie. But I love playing in churches. I have 2 private students, and thank goodness for their parents, because they really helped me with the Zoom aspect.
Yeah.
To make sure that I don't cut people off or that my internet is weak or whatever. But I also love playing in elementary schools. And I have a colleague, Elizabeth Owen, and her husband, Drew Owen, that play duos and trios in the Washington, D.C. elementary schools. And that's all through the Kennedy Center's education department. And our shows are like stories, and they're fun and funny, and we show young people the joys of playing classical music, and we have some incredibly creative ways of teaching them musical terms and just the beauty of learning, the beauty and importance of learning how to play together as an ensemble. And I am doing that mainly because I want to give back, because I'm playing the violin because a woman came to my school in elementary school, and she was from the Louisville Orchestra because I'm from Louisville, and she demonstrated the violin, and I loved it. And I asked if I, could take lessons, and that's how I got started. So playing in the schools is a way of giving back. And I have to play at elementary schools because I want to start at the beginning.
Right.
Because in high school, our stories are not really for children, but in high school, if I had heckling or people not attentive, I'd be really annoyed.
Yeah. Have you ever?
I like little ones.
Have you ever played in Virginia before?
As in the schools?
Yeah.
Yes, actually, there's CETA schools that, let's see, so Barrett Elementary in Alexandria.
Yeah, I feel like I was there that day because I remember
my
people playing
God.
strings, because it was I was a sub, and that was the day that they were having the little special presentation, and it was really good. I was into it.
So we have seen each other without knowing.
It's such a small world. Oh my goodness.
Absolutely. Wow, that's pretty cool.
I love that, and I feel like everybody in elementary school, that's the best time to get them, because the people that went to strings in elementary were flexing. They were like, "I'm going to play the violin." They were flexing. It was like their special thing, and they loved it. And yeah, I think that has a powerful, powerful impact.
Oh, that's really nice.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for talking with us today. It's been such an enlightening experience, and I'm wishing you the best. I'm hoping that things continue to go well in this COVID time, and hopefully we'll be back to the stage soon.
Absolutely, and I hope we get to see you and some of your fans at the opera, and
Yes.
we can all work together at some point. That would be really wonderful.
Yes, I would love to do that because I took some people to see Samson and Delilah. So
Great.
it was so
Good.
great. It was so great. And then we were going to see
Absolutely.
Blue, but of course, that's exactly when COVID hit.
Exactly. It's just so unfortunate, but it will be back.
Yes, I can't
It will be
wait.
back. Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you. And I hope you have a
Wow.
wonderful day. I'm about to get
You
ready
as well.
to sing myself the Alcina's aria. So, yeah. So it's so crazy seeing that. I was just like, yeah, I'm about to sing that like in an hour and a half.
Oh my gosh,
Yes.
that's incredible. So how was it?
It's coming along pretty well. I really like this aria. I feel like it's fun. I love Baroque music, first of all, because it's just you get to do whatever you get to do special things with your voice and stuff like that. So I love that. So yeah.
Wow.
And then I like to
love
sing
hear you.
fast.
We'll make that work sometime, all right?
Yes, yes.